What is up? What is up? What is up, everybody? This is your boy Is Nefarious, and I'm here for another episode following GM Neff and his NHL 25 journey and his career with the Boston Bruins, but also with other teams potentially if we get fired here. But we are with the Boston Bruins. If you're enjoying this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you do will help this channel. And we got some new changes. We got our owner goals, which we get from NHL at the bottom left hand corner. Make round 3 to playoffs, get 44 wins, get fan happiness to 99, and upgrade club seats to level 1. So those goals are from NHL. We're going to try to get those, but we also added AI owner goals with ChatGPT to see if we could add some more storylines. We got to improve the goalie cap situation, evaluate Elias Lindholm's situation, optimize the bottom 6, and add cap flexibility, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner. So improve goalie cap situation. So what they're talking about is we got 2 goalies right now in the NHL. We got Jeremy Swayman, who's making 8.5, and then we got Korpisalo, who's making $3 million. So we're spending $11.5 million just on goalies. We want to improve that. We got Bussy, we got DiPietro here, 2 guys that we could potentially use to call up and be pretty solid because they put up good numbers in the AHL. Hrabel is the guy we just drafted, and as I told you, we don't have any scouts, so we don't know how good they are at the draft. But here, right before the preseason, we find out that we got a elite medium goalie with Habrel 6'7". We also got Sasha, who's a top 4 defenseman in potential. Vilchinski's a top 4 defenseman as well. Brizgalov's a low top 4 defenseman. Dingle's a top 6 defensive medium. So we got some pretty good picks from this past draft, especially at the defensive position. Definitely did what we wanted to do. You can see Sasha's already at 71 as well. So definitely worth the first round pick that we spent on him. So it's going to be interesting to see how these defensemen kind of develop. We also got Bobrovsky, who's a top 6 medium. So he's got plenty of time to develop. AHL top 2D for Kaiser, so we kind of messed that pick up, but it was a late pick. We got Walensky and Lamb. Lamb is at AHL top 6, not going to develop into anything great, so we missed on that pick. Gentz is also a top 9 medium, which is pretty good. And then Walensky is a low elite. Can he develop? He's already a 50. He's only a 52, so the development's probably gonna take a long time if he even develops. Maybe even trade piece at one point. But it's nice to see that some of these draft picks we hit on, and even some of these late draft picks, we got something a little bit better, as you can see with the Kiprusoff being $3 million and Swayman 8.5. So we're gonna go into free agency. We're gonna see if we could get a goalie, because if we can move Kiprusoff before the season even starts, that's even better. We could get that goal completely, completed. Don't have to worry about it. So taking a look at some of the options out there, nothing too crazy. Louis Domingue, you got Skarek, you got Shepard, Hunter Shepard there. Skarek, it looks pretty good. He's got the sponge ability. He had a 9.43 in an AHL. Really good stats for AHL. So he seems, and he's 25, so he could develop a little bit more for us. But we're gonna take a look at Christopher Gibson as well. Not something we like. Maybe want to go with a veteran, but we don't see anybody else that was really good enough. So we're gonna go with Skarek. Let's go and get him a 2-way contract. He would take it. So perfect, 1 year, 2-way. Bring him aboard. He accepts the offer. He's right on with the team. So now we got the extra goalie. So can we move Jonas Korpisalo? Can we get him gone is the question. That's going to be the tough part. He's got a modified no trade clause, so he's only able to trade to, like, I think 20 teams, and nobody wants him. We tried to find a trade even with the open trade block. Nobody wants Korpisalo, so we're kind of stuck with him at this point. So now with preseason's coming around, we need 8 veterans. So there's a rule in the NHL where in the preseason you could have as many rookies as you want as long as you have 8 veterans, and to qualify as a veteran, you need 30 games played in the previous season in the NHL or 100 games altogether. So we did some roster moves. We fulfilled that minimum veteran requirement that we needed, and this is what the preseason roster is going to look like. We got to see if Casey Middlestat could develop a little bit more. Patras as well. Bork, we don't know how good he is, and plus he could develop by playing in the preseason. You also got Cody Glass and Mitten. We brought up Duchesne, even though he he is older, we want to see how good he is, because right now we don't have enough scouting on him. So him playing more games in the preseason will let us know if he's going to be good or not. We brought up Letourneau as well. We got Beecher, Lauko, and Ralston. Ralston, we have no clue how good he is, so we'll get a first look at him. Defensively, you got Lohrei, Hutton, and Clegg. That's going to be a battle for the seventh defense. I mean, the third pair defenseman, Lohrei, Clegg, and Hutton. That's going to be a battle that we got to keep an eye on to see who's going to actually be that third defenseman, or who's just going to be the undressed guy. So those are the moves for the preseason. We also had to talk to our coach, Earl Walter, on what we could do. And what we figured out while talking to the coach is you could actually have the coach edit lines and then conversate with him to try to have him change the line. So we're probably going to do that. We're going to switch all lines to head coach preferred, and then have conversations in the future about if we want to change. Let's say if he has Patras on line 4 and in the NHL and we want him on line 2, we could have that conversation with the preferred lines for him to change his mind. But we do lose some management there, and we're just showing the owner goals. We already have them at the bottom left hand corner of the screen, so you can see they ended up changing them with a first round pick. They wanted us to acquire a first round pick. They had a different idea for the wins: get 31 wins, get fan happiness to 99, get a first round pick, and upgrade club seats. We noticed that when you change the roster, the NHL roster, the owner goals change with it. So now that we're back to the regular season, we did all the roster moves, got everybody back called up, and this is what the NHL roster is going to look like after the preseason, going into the season. You're going to have Elias Lindholm, and Middlestat on that second line with Bork on the right wing. Remember, we promised him top 6 minutes. You got Duchesne, Zacha, and Pasternak on that first line. You got Kostelic, Kubel, and Lauko on that third line, and then you got Beecher, Kuznetsov, and Cody Glass on that third line. That fourth line is Kostelic and Lauko and Kubel. Taking a look at the defense, Lohrei is going to be that third pair defenseman after we figured out Clegg wasn't really that guy, and neither was Hutton. So you got Lindholm, McAvoy, Zadorov, and Yokiharu, and then you got Lohrei and Peak on that bottom pair. Trying to get the lines to match out. As you can see, we're getting a -4 and a -1 by moving these guys around. So we're just trying to see what combination works best, who would have to go where. It's tough when these guys don't fit the scheme, so we're gonna have to work on that. And we figure out later on in the video some interesting ways to fix this. So, but that's going to be the lines for the defense. Goalies, you're going to have Jeremy Swayman and Korpisalo. Since we can't move Korpisalo, we might as well use them. So the offense is all set. The defense is all set. The offense is not as bad as the defense, which is nice. We're going to best lines the AHL. Like I said, we could have the conversations. If we don't like the lines, we could move, tell them to move Letourneau up to the first line center, or tell them to move Patras to right wing. We could do all that, but we like where the lines are right now, offensively and defensively. I think it's a solid lineup, so we're not going to bother the coach on that. Not too much more we're going to do with the roster. Let's jump into the scene. Let's get to the regular season. Let's see how we do with this second season Boston Bruins team. I don't think the rebuild's complete. We definitely got some holes on this team, but it is a solid team, and we're gonna have a conversation with the coach. As I said, you could talk about the preferred lines, you can see if you want it, and as you can see, the management morale actually goes down, so you got to be careful with that. And like I said, we do like where the lines are, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna leave it be. We could also talk about scheme fit, on ice time, all that good stuff. We could have conversations with the coach, which I really like, because it adds the flexibility of just being a GM and dealing with the moves based on conversations with the coach, which is a realistic aspect, and I love that. It's a very immersive part about the way they handle the franchise. Now, all the conversations you could have, we're going to take a look at our owner goals right now. You got the owner goals going back to the original, which was the 44 wins, round 3 to the playoffs, fan happiness to 99, and upgrading the club seats by 1 level. So it was weird how that happens. I guess it reads the roster and what you have called up at the time, and then it builds off of that. Speaking about the team, though, we got to decide who's going to be our captain. Remember, this is a new team. Last year, we didn't really make a captain. We let 3 alternates kind of run the show. So we got a new captain. We're going to give it to Charlie McAvoy. Charlie McAvoy is going to be our captain. We're going to give Lindholm and Pasternak the A as well. So they'll be the assistants. Congrats to Charlie McAvoy. He's going to be the soul of this team moving forward. So let's jump into the sim, see how we do. Starting with the Senators, we're up to 1. Bork scores on his first game as a Bruin, which is nice to see. He's going to be getting those top 6 minutes, so we need that. So moving on, after the 3-2 overtime win, we got the Lightning back, and we played the Lightning first round of the playoffs. We actually upset them and went on to the second round, and they get back immediately in the regular season, 3-1 in the first game. But we got another game coming up against them. Can we return the favor? This is on home ice this time. Can we get the win? They're gonna score first, but we scored 3 in the second between Zaka Mittelstadt and Bork, and we ended up winning this one 6-1. So a good win there. Now we're sitting here 2-1 going to Philadelphia. We got DeSimone. Is he good enough? We got some questions on defense, but definitely not somebody we want. Moving on to Philadelphia, can we get a good win here? 1-0. Cody Glass scores for us. Tippett scores for Philly, and then you have Duchesne getting on the board, the newcomer. But Ruotsalainen and Couturier kind of end this game for us. So 3-2 Philly wins. Moving on to Seattle, who's a good team. They're right now 0-1. By the time we get to the game, they're 0-2-1, so they haven't won yet. Will this be their first win on the season? Taking a look, you got us going up 1-0, Zaka with the goal, and then we win 1-0, a shutout by Jeremy Swayman in that game. Good win for us there. And then with the Caps, we get the Caps coming to town, and Ovi still chasing that goal record. So that's something to keep an eye on. But we win this one 6-1, a huge victory against the Capitals, which we usually have trouble with. Moving on to Columbus, Mark Kostelic wants to talk, and we had a conversation in the offseason about Mark Kostelic switching to center. Having that conversation, he has now learned how to play center, and this is where adaptability comes in, because his adaptability was high. He was able to switch to center and switch to center fast, and we're going to have 2 other guys that we're going to have conversations later on in the episode. Do they switch? I think it was Mittelstadt and then also Kusnedinov, 2 guys that I want to move to wing. As we win that one, actually lose that one against the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-1. We go on to the Avs. Avs are 3-4 and struggling so far this season, which is a surprise, especially given the team that they have. We go up 2-1. Lindholm scores 2. And then McKinnon scores with Lehkonen in the third period to give the Avs a 3-2 win there. So we'll get a mixed bag of results, some losses, some wins here. Sitting here at 4-4, 500 on the dot. Can we start getting a winning streak going? We start with Pasternak scoring in the first period. We ended up winning against the Florida Panthers 3-1, a huge win there. So now we're 5-4. The team's looking pretty good. We get a trade offer, a second-round pick for Maryanov. Is Maryanov somebody we want? Taking a look at him, he's 28. He's a right-handed defenseman. We have peaked. There's no reason to go out and get Maryanov. So we deny that trade. We're going to stick with what we got defensively. Now we take on the Kings here in the next month. Can we come out with a win against this Kings team that is young and developing? They got, some young pieces that are developing, like Byfield and things like that. Unfortunately, we're unable to get the win too. So 3-1, the Kings beat us. Going to the Maple Leafs, we're sitting here at 500 again, 5-5. We've been up and down. We're trying to get a little bit of a streak going, and we lose this one 1-0 to the Maple Leafs. So we're getting more answers about this team early on. McAvoy goes down with an injury. He'll return shortly though, November 23rd, which is not too far out. So he won't be gone for too long, but we got to go with Clegg to take over that position on the first line just for the short period of time. So we put him in the lineup to take on the Sabres. Taking on the Sabres, can we get a win? We need to start putting some wins together. It's a good start to the game. Kusnedinov and Pasternak score. We get a 2-0 win. And just a reminder, we have low on the sim scoring and the sim shot engines. So that's why you're seeing scores 2-0, 3-0, and really low scoring games. It's just because of the sim engine that we're using. Going to the next game, we got the San Jose Sharks. Can we come up with a win against them as well? They're a young developing team, just like the Kings, and we get a good win in a shootout to 2-1 victory. So we're starting to get some wins here, which is good. In the last 5, we are 5-5, but we're now 7-6. So the team's starting to come together and get above 500. It will be a good enough team to make it to the playoffs. 2-2 against the Penguins after one. Pasta and Kusendinov score. Pasta scores in the second, and we go into overtime 4-4 against the Penguins. Sidney Crosby, of all people, Father Time's been good to him as they come out with a win there. Zadorov is going to get injured for us. We do have injuries pretty high. We like the injury aspect of the game, so we have to call somebody up because remember, Clague is already playing, who's our backup defenseman, so we have to bring up another defenseman now that we have 2 injured defensemen. So we're going to bring up Ben Hutton, who looks pretty good, or Mizyul. We looked at Ben Hunt for a second. Let's go with the rookie. Let's give Daniil Mizyul a shot. I'm probably pronouncing that name totally wrong, but let's give him a shot on the NHL squad. He is 25 years old, so time is not on his side as far as development. Can he perform in the NHL? And as you can see, looking for some way to make these combinations, because every combination has a -5, a -1 to the overall, really hurting the overall ability for these line mates to play together. And then we have conversations. So this is where another aspect of conversations come in. You could have conversations with all your players to fit a scheme. So you could go through each player and try to have them fit your coach's scheme, but they gotta be willing to do so, because they don't automatically do it. They could say no. You're gonna see some cases where you get the red, like Lindholm there. He doesn't want to adapt to the scheme. So you get that aspect, which is like I said, the immersion of the whole conversations is pretty dope. You get to do the scheme, the play style, the position changes, all this other things. Talk about their clauses, getting their clauses waived to trade them and things like that. So I love all those aspects. That's one of the aspects where we got everybody to try to fit to the scheme. It worked out for some, it didn't work out for most. We got a 2-1 win against Edmonton after that, so our defense is looking a little bit better. 8-6-1 is not a bad place to be. Getting on to the Detroit game, can we come up with a win? Detroit beats us 2-1. So like I said, a mixed bag. It looked good for a little bit. Right now we're 4-5-1 in the last 10, taking on the St. Louis Blues, who are having a tough season. Can we get this one here? Can we start to develop some momentum? And it's getting really, really tough for our team to really develop momentum, because we're winning a couple and then we lose 3 straight. Every step forward we take like 3 steps back as we lose to the St. Louis Blues 3-2. Now we get the Flyers, who are having a good season, 13-5-1 on the season. Definitely playing really, really good hockey right now, and we get the victory. So we lose to the Blues, who are questionable right now, and we beat somebody like the Flyers. So that just speaks to the type of things we're dealing with this team. It's still a good team. Duchesne looks really good, 87 overall. We're getting Charlie McAvoy back. We're gonna put Clague there and then switch out Clague, and you get the +4 on that first line, which is really nice when you think about it, getting that +4 to the overall. So you always want that scheme to fit, and we talked to Peak again to try to see if he'll fit that third line scheme. He doesn't want to give in, so it sucks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's nice when it does. As you can see, we have 2 injuries right now. McAvoy's playing. He's able to play through his injury. Zadorov still injured. We get a 3-0 lead against Washington, and we beat Washington 3-0. That's a good win right there. 2-0 against Washington so far this season. And like I said, Alex Ovechkin still chasing that goal record. I think he gets it this season midway through. He needed 17 goals in this season. He ended up getting it as the Rangers take us down 3-2, the final score there. And Cody Glass gets injured, which is a tough hit for our offense. We're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna do here. Beecher, Kuznetsov, and Letary is gonna have to make it work on that third line. Right after we're done switching the lines, Casey Middlestat's gonna reach out, as you can see here, and this is the conversation about him switching to left wing, but he's not as adaptable. He tried to switch to left wing. He wasn't able to accomplish it. So now we have him sticking to that center position. We want to still move him to left wing. We'll have that conversation probably later on in the season, or come next season. But unfortunately not able to switch there at the end of the season. Now you got Pavel Zacha. That's the other player. I thought it was Kuznetsov, but it's Pavel Zacha. Is he able to switch? Same exact conversation we just had with Middlestat. Unable to switch. The adaptability is not high enough. So that ties into what we do at the end of the season. Do we go for the boost in defensive awareness or all the other attributes, or do we try to get that adaptability up? So when we do get the ability to change some of these guys' positions, they actually stick at the end. But taking on the San Jose Sharks, we get a 4-2 win here. A good bounce back. Lettieri's first game, we're able to get a win after a couple guys go down to injury, so that's always nice to get. Going back to the injury, we get a couple guys back. I believe Cody Glass will be able to play, but we're going to leave him on the bench because we don't want him getting re-injured. And we got a couple more games on the road that we got to deal with. Seattle, 2-1 so far, 4-2 after 2, and after 3, we're able to get a 5-2 win. Duchesne scoring there to give us the win. So after this this road trip, we'll bring back Cody Glass. Let Cody Glass get a little bit more rest before we put him back in, because we don't want him to get injured again, especially with all the injuries that we're dealing with. Calgary does a good job of just destroying us in this game, 5-1. So after a good win, we followed it up with a loss that really hurts because Calgary is not even playing that well. But we're sitting there at 12-9-2. It's not the end of the world. We're 5-3-2 in the last 10. We're not looking too bad, but we're dealing with a lot of injuries, and I think that's going to affect our season. Will these guys be able to stay healthy? And I love the fact that we have the injuries the way they are, so we have to deal with things like this. Moving on to the Dallas Stars, Lindholm scores, Bach scores in the second to make it 1-1. We go into overtime. A point is always good to get. We lose in the shootout, though. We didn't get the extra point. Dallas ends up beating us. We get Mizyul, who gets injured in this one. Like I said, the injuries are going to play a factor in the season. Another guy that goes down early on in the season. So now we got to figure out who we're going to call up to be that defenseman, because we don't have a lot of options. We have Clegg, but Hutton looks pretty good with a 78 overall, so he could potentially be that guy to get called up, which we will do here because some of these young guys aren't ready, and Mitchell is a right-handed defenseman, and we really don't need that right now. We're getting a lot of injuries to the left side, so we bring up Hutton. We're going to put him as that second pair left defenseman over Clegg. We're not too happy with Clegg. We're potentially going to send him down when we get all our defensemen back and keep Mizyul up. So moving on to our next game, the Nashville Predators. Can we get a win here? Kubel and Pastrnak score in a second, and in the third we score 2 more with Beecher scoring 2 just in that period. So we get a win there. Now 13-9-3. The team is looking positive. We're in 3rd place in our division, which is really, really good, and we could potentially make the playoffs. So we got to make it to that round 3 to get our owner goals completed, and we got to get 44 wins. It's going to be tough, but right now we're going on a little roll. We win 4-0, then we went 2-1 against Chicago, and now we got the Devils up next. Devils are 13-8-2, so this would be a tough game to win. It would be a good win if we're able to get it. 2-1, we're down after 1, after 2, nothing. After 3, we tie it, so we at least get a point. So that's huge against a really good team. We get a point there, and we actually get the extra point. We get the 2 points with the overtime win, the shootout win to be exact. So 4-3 shootout win. We move on to 15-9-3 and 7-1-2 in our last 10. So the boys are looking a lot better, and now against Toronto, they put up 3 in the first period. We come back in the second period, showing that fight, showing that grit that we like, and then we score 2 in the third to get another victory. So is this team, I had some questions about this team, but is this team going to be enough to get into the playoffs and make it to round 3 and get 44 wins? It's looking good right now. 7-1-2 in the last 10. Korpisalo in this game, he lets up 3, but we've shown that we could fight and we could get points back. But 7-2 after 2, I don't know if we're going to be able to come back from this one. That's a little too much to try to come back from. So it looks like we're going to lose this one, which we do. 7-4 was the final score. We saw a score 2 in the last period, but it's not enough to come back in this game. So we lose that one, which is not the end of the world. 6-2-2 in our last 10. We're doing pretty well. This team needs to get get on a roll and continue that, because that 44 win mark is going to be tough to get, especially with the type of talent we have. So 1-1, 2-2 after 3 periods. So we go into overtime with the Vegas Knights, and we're able to get the win 3-2, which is back. We're getting back on the ball when it comes to the winning side of things. Hopefully we could continue this streak going against the Oilers. Oilers are a good team, as you know. We're down 2-1. McDavid and Draisaitl both score. We got Glass, who scored for us. Middlestat and Pasternak score in the second. Can we close it out in the third? They tie it up with Henrique, and then McDavid ends it in the overtime, and that is at least a point. So it's not the worst thing, but we lose another one. We got to get a win streak going. Ducks this week having an okay season. They're not having a bad season. We're able to get a 2-1 victory, which is really nice. They're 19-11-1 on the season, so having a good season. Cody Glass is going to get injured in this one, so we gotta have Lettieri come back in and fill in for him again, and he did a good one. He was filled in last time, so we're not too worried about it. We get the 2-1 victory against the good Anaheim team. We got the Canucks right after. Can we get a win here? 2-0 in Lettieri's first game back after a couple games off. He ends up getting a goal, but it's not enough. 3-2 is the final score there. We lose that one to the Vancouver Canucks. Moving on to the Utah Hockey Club, they're 14-16-2. Talk about a team that's always struggling to find an identity and find out if they're going to compete, with a lot of good young pieces on the team. 3-1. Clayton Keller scores there. We try to come back in the third, but it's not enough. We lose 4-3 to a team under 500. So this is where we're trying to figure out what this team is as Cody Glass comes back. So we'll be able to put him back on that third line. This is where we try to figure out what this team actually is. Are we a competitive team? Are we not a competitive team? Because we're losing games to people under, or teams under 500. And now we play the Devils, who are 17-9-5. Can we get a win against them? It would be just like us to lose to the Utah Hockey Club and then turn around and beat the New Jersey Devils. After the first period is 1-1, 2-1 after 2, 3-3. We at least get a point. Do we get the win? Nothing in overtime, and we lose in a shootout, which is not bad. We at least got the point. We didn't even get a point against Utah, and that was an actual good team that we played. Moving on to the Capitals, who are 14-6-2. They're under 500. Can we beat them? We are 2-0 against them so far this season. They're up 2-0, 3-0, and 4-0. We get blanked by a team under 500 and a team that we were 2-0 against. So many ups and downs and so many questions about this team on how good we actually are and if we're going to be able to compete as we take on the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Not a goal in the last 2 games. We got shut out back-to-back games. Will it continue against the Blue Jackets? The offense is really struggling right now, but we're going to leave everything the same. We're not going to touch it yet. 2-0 after 1. Again, no goals. We actually get one from Bork, who we're going to need to actually play some really good hockey after giving him only $2 million in a contract, 2.5. It's not the worst contract, but we promised him top 6 minutes, so we're going to need top 6 performance. And we lose that one. Now we're losing 4-0 to Vegas. We lose 4-0 to Vegas at the end of it. They could score all their goals in the first period. And right now we're struggling to score. 2 goals in the last 4 games is not going to cut it. So can we start scoring? We get 2 goals in the first, we get 2 more in the second. Finally, the offense is turning around. We get a win there, 4-3. So looking at our team, we are now 15-5, and we're 3-5-2 in our last 10. Trending the wrong direction as we get a goal there from Lindholm, and then we tie it 2-2 going into overtime. We win in the shootout, so that's another win. So now we're sitting here at 21-15-5. The team's playing getting a good win there. Can we continue it? Can we get that last 10 to be above 500 and back to that 7-1-2 type of record that we have as we go down 2-0 against the Kings, take it to overtime and win in a shootout? So that's back-to-back wins. That's something to feel good about. Can we continue it? But we lose Ben Hutton, the veteran defenseman. He will be out for a little bit, but we do have, I think we have Clegg still there, so we don't have to call anybody up. We put in Clay. We're not totally happy about that, but we don't have a lot of options outside of him. So we go into Winnipeg. Can we get a win here against Winnipeg? Nothing in the first, 3-0 after 2, and going into the third, 5-1 is the final score. So the offense starting to kick into gear. This is good signs. Now we can potentially get that 44 win mark. We can potentially make the playoffs and get to round 3. We're looking like that type of team after the 3-game win streak. But we're going into Utah. We already lost to Utah so far this season, losing once again, and we lose 2-0. Get shut out by Utah. I think they shut us out the first time, and they're below 500. So that is ugly, a very ugly loss. Moving on to the Islanders. Can we beat them? They were just in the playoffs last season, so they're not a bad team. So it'd be a good win. We end up losing 3-2 to the Islanders as well. So the team's struggling a little bit here. The Islanders were also under 500 at this point when we lost to them. We lose Lindholm for a little bit. So not only have we lost the last couple, we also lose one of our better forwards to an injury. So now we got to deal with that. Can Lettieri carry his weight on that second line and provide some offense? Probably not, but we don't have a lot of options unless we call up one of the young kids. But we're in a gray area as a team right now, so I don't want to stunt any of their growths. And plus, Lindholm's only out for a little bit as we win against the Flyers in Lettieri's first game, so that's a good win right there. 3-2 your final score. Lindholm is already back and ready to play. That's why we don't call up any of the kids. Lettieri is just filling in for a game basically. So Lindholm is back, not the end of the world. We were able to win without him, but having him back is going to be big for us. So going into the Rangers, can we get a win with Lindholm back? 2-1. Lindholm scores in his return. 3-3 going into overtime. Kusnadinov with a goal as well. Nothing in overtime. We get the shootout win. Mark Kaselik of all people ends the shootout to give us a win. So we're now sitting there at 25-17-5 and 6-4 in our last 10. So we're back over that 500 mark in our last 10, which is perfect for us. So moving on to Calgary, can we get a win against them? Ball, Kadri, and Kovalenko score. Kubel's the only one to score for us, so 3-1 after 1. Definitely not looking the way we want it. We lose 3-2. Pasternak scores in the third, but it's not enough. So again, trying to figure out where this team's going to be. It seems like we're going to be borderline wild card at this point, just based on the ups and downs that we have. We didn't really get what we needed in the offseason. Duchesne was pretty much a settled type of player. We settled for what we could get. As we look at some of the trades, Jake Bean, who seems to be okay, but definitely not what we want. They're going to send us a third and fourth of Jake Bean for a second, and it's not worth that at the end of the day. So we deny that trade. We go into the game against Florida. Can we get a win? Can we get back on the winning side of things? 3-0 is your final score here. Not what we need. Not what we need. Again, shut out. This offense is struggling. This offense is really struggling. Do we call in one of the young kids? Lindholm gets injured. So when it rains, it pours. Hampus Lindholm, our top left defenseman, injured. So now we got to bring Clegg in. It's just not looking too good. And I don't know if we should invest in this team, or this team has enough to invest with. So this season might be another throwaway season, or a passive season when it comes to how competitive we're going to be, as we lose to the Islanders there. Another loss. That's not going to help us. Lindholm gets injured once again, and he's going to be injured for a little bit. So we're going to have to put Lettieri in. He wasn't bad last time. 3-2 was your final in that Islanders game, just to, let you know how that game mapped out. 3-2 your final. Not the end of the world, but losing some of these top tier players like Lindholm is definitely something that we're not happy with, as Lindholm is already back. Elias Lindholm, not Hampus Lindholm. Elias Lindholm's already back, so we could put him back in. Thank God we had a break in the schedule for a little bit before we had another game. It might have been like tournament type stuff, but we had like over a week break between games. Now we're trying to move Korpisalo again, and again, no trades whatsoever out there for Korpisalo, and that hurts at the end of the day, because we want to move Korpisalo, but we can't move Korpisalo, and we win that game 2-1, which is good for us, but it also is bad because it's also putting us in a tough position to figure out what we're going to do with this team at the trade deadline. Are we going to move somebody? Will we be able to move somebody? We don't have a lot of cap space to work with, hence the reason that my AI owner said to get some cap flexibility. So maybe we sell. We're a conservative seller by the time we get to the trade deadline. We'll have to see. 3-1, we lose once again. So we're going on a little slide of losses here. Back-to-back losses. In the last 10, we are 3-7-0 after having a good start to the season, looking pretty steady. The wheels have completely fallen off as we lose another one to the Carolina Hurricanes. So this team's not looking too hot, and it looks like we should be thinking about selling by the time we get to the trade deadline. And we got Yoki Haru, who's available for his next game. So even though we had to put Clegg in for a little bit, we got Yoki Haru back, which is huge for this team. Moving on to the Detroit game. Can we get a win against Detroit? It's been up and down so far this season. Can we finally start getting things going? 2-0 your final score. We get shut out again, so the offense is looking pretty much non-existent at this point. I think we've had one goal in the last 3 games. It's just been terrible. So taking a look, we are 25, 24, and 5 at this point, and 2-8 in the last 10. So we're gonna make some line changes here. How can we change this up to get more offense and get some wins put together? Because we still got to try to win 44 games and make it to the round 3 of the playoffs. So making a little bit of changes here. Hopefully these combinations work. We didn't do nothing too crazy like call up one of the young kids, but making slight changes to the lineup, and it doesn't work as we lose 3-1 and only score 1 goal in that game. So even the line changes that we made not helping us whatsoever as we move on to the New Jersey game. Hopefully with due time that those line changes start to stick, and it looks like it might. 3-1, a good win against a Devils team that's playing really well, 31-19-5. So a really good win there. Got Vancouver, who's struggling at the time. Can we win against Vancouver? This is a team we should beat. As Lindholm scores in the first, we have Glass scoring in the second, and we win 4-1 by scoring 2 more in the third. So the team's starting to look a little bit better, but we still are 2-8 in our last 10 games. So even though we got back-to-back wins, the overall record in the last 10 just looks terrible as we lose to Winnipeg 5-2. Just when we thought that it was turning around and that the line changes were about to stick, the wheels completely fall off again as we only scored 2. But it's only 1 game. Mizyu's back, so that's going to lead to some roster decisions that we have to make with the defense because we got too many players at this time. So do we send Mizyu down or do we send Clegg down? Mizyu's going to have to go through waivers at this point if we send him down. We decide to keep them both because right now with Lindholm injured, we're still able to have all those defensemen stay up, so we keep them both. Mizyu goes back in over Hutton on that first pair defenseman slot. So moving on to the Red Wings, can we come out with a win? 7-1, we lose. So the bad run continues for us as we lose McAvoy as well. So that's going to be a big hit to the defense. Just when people were starting to get healthy, McAvoy goes down. So now we got our top 2 defensemen out, and we got a first line defensive pairing with Mizyu and Hutton. So and Hutton's not even playing on his right wing, his right side. As we go into Minnesota, we lose 2-1 the final score. So the offense struggling. We got all the injuries on defense, but our offense is struggling more than our defense. Moving on to Columbus, can we start to get something going? We gotta go into the sim. Hopefully we can get a win. 2-0 after 1, 2-0, 4-0. It's just looking terrible for our team right now. It's looking really bad for this Boston Bruins team. We had a little bit of hope at the early start. Right now we're in a place where we're confused in a sense of which direction we want to go as we take on the Blues. We got a 2-1 victory there, but is it enough? Should we invest in this team? And just as we say that, Pavel Zacha is going to not return to this season. He's out until May 2nd, so no more Pavel Zacha for this season. So that kind of helps us make a decision. But at this point, the good news is we could bring up one of the young kids. We could actually give him top 6 minutes, give one of the young kids top 6 minutes. And Patras looks like he's NHL ready. Laterno looks good. Fraser Mitten as well. We're not really looking at Lysell because it's going to probably be a center that we call up. And Patras is actually going to be that center as we call up Patras at 84 overall. Is he going to be enough to kickstart this offense a little bit? So we're going to put Patras there. At that center position on that line one. He'll be able to get the top 6 minutes he needs. Do we move Duchesne up? Because Duchesne's been playing really, really good. Middlestat's been okay. So we're going to swap Duchesne and Middlestat right there. Put him on the first line because we had a lot of success with this Duchesne with Pasternak. So that's the one line change we make. And at the end of the sim, we are sitting there with the 28th goals for, 19th goals against, 5th power play, and the 26th penalty kills. So the team looking okay. Definitely want those numbers to be better. Taking a look at the standings, we are 5th place, just outside a wild card spot with 62 points, 66 points. Hurricanes on a wild card spot. The Panthers leading our division with 89 points. Leafs right after them with 81, 76 from the Senators, and the Lightning have 65. So we're chasing a few teams. We're gonna hop the Lightning and then also hop the Hurricanes and the Flyers to get into the playoffs at this point. So it's not looking too good, but we're close. We are very close. Taking a look at some of our team leaders, Pasternak's leading with points with 49. We got McAvoy leading defenseman with 15 points. You got 27 goals from Pasta, which is a team lead, and 29 assists from Matt Duchesne, which is a team lead, and no real rookie points. Mizzule is the only rookie, and he's been doing okay defensively, but not really a point getter. So with some of the woes that we've had with this team, we tried to talk to everybody to get them to be a scheme fit. As we said early on, you could have conversations to get these guys to fit the coach's scheme, and you get the plus overall. We had a conversation with everybody and we were able to get them all plus. We got +3 to the first line, +2 to the second, +2 to the third, and +2 to the fourth. So hopefully that helps out the offense. And then we went on to the defense and we did the exact same thing defensively. And taking a look at it, the +1 to the first line, +3 to the second, and +2 to the third. And on the first line, we don't have Lindholm, and when Lindholm is there, they actually get a +4. So that's good news. But we were able to get some momentum as far as the plus overall on the lines. But at the end of this video, we are sitting here. We are just outside of a playoff spot going into the trade deadline. What can we do at the trade deadline to make this team better? We'll find out next time. If you are enjoying this content, please like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel, and we'll catch you next time.